What is up, everybody? What is up? This is LSU Odyssey's second preview for Ole Miss, for the LSU Ole Miss game. And, usually we're getting an article in there and that type of thing. We figured, why do an article that's going to have a shelf life of 24 hours? Let's just say it to the people right now, right here. Kelly versus Kiffin, Volume 3, LSU versus Ole Miss, 100th anniversary celebration in Tiger Stadium. This is going to be the biggest game of a jam-packed, action-packed weekend that we're going to have in college football for the second straight week. It's going to be bedlam. It's going to be mayhem. And I'm excited. I'm pumped. This is going to be an incredible watch. No matter how this game turns out, LSU Ole Miss will always deliver in the entertainment factor. You always know that it's going to be high stakes. That's obvious. You always know that it's going to be, some reckless abandon to the play, to the flow of play. Because Lane Kiffin, Ole Miss, they're going to try and cause chaos for our defense with crazy up-tempo, speed. And then meanwhile, LSU with Garrett Nussmeier, they can either control everything, go on these 90-plus yard drives as we talked about last time, where he's got 3 drives over 90-plus yards this season, 3 touchdown scoring drives, I should clarify. And so you've got an offense that can do anything. An offense that can, stick with that type of pace, I believe. We haven't seen it quite yet, the up-tempo pace of LSU, but I think on the surface, LSU should be able to keep up with that, rabid pace of Ole Miss. So, maybe not win in a shootout scenario. Maybe do we have the weaponry for that? We'll find out, likely. But I think this is going to be a very interesting chess match, a very interesting game. Is this Lane Kiffin's tenure-defining game at Ole Miss? Like, is this game, win or lose, going to define his tenure at Ole Miss? Because if they lose this game, Ole Miss in the most favored, have so many easy games at the front of the schedule, and they still lose 2 games out of their first 7, that'd be nuts. That would be nuts because, and we're talking about losing to losing to Kentucky at home and then going on the road to LSU. And here's the thing. They had a powder puff schedule for the first 4 games or whatever. It has served them, with nothing. It has done them no good at all, because here's the thing. They go through these 4 powder puff games, rack up all these stats, and in the first SEC opener against Kentucky at home, they lose. They get bludgeoned. They barely lose by a field goal miss at the end, but they can't even score 20 points against Kentucky. Kentucky basically outplays them, controls them, suffocates them in that game. At home as well. They beat Ole Miss on the road in Oxford. So they go and they, they get hit in the mouth. They lose. Okay. Then they have to go to South Carolina. And yes, they took the crowd out of the game early. They took South Carolina out of the game early. They put the foot on the throat. They said, this game is going to be over. We're going to win this game. And yes, Ole Miss won the game and looked dominant doing it. But you've got the feeling that had just 1 or 2 drives there early gone South Carolina's way, maybe we see another LSU South Carolina type game between Ole Miss and South Carolina. Maybe that game goes down to the wire. It's just they took the wind right out of the sails for South Carolina and just buried them. I can't see that happening to LSU with this crowd. I think this crowd's going to be hyped. They're going to be intense. But the one thing this crowd cannot do is, if we get down, 10 points, 14 points early, even God forbid 17, you have to stay in it with this team. I understand you need something to cheer for, but you have to keep on it with this team, because this team have shown against a Kiffin-coached Ole Miss team with Jackson Dart at quarterback that they can come down, down 17 and beat an Ole Miss team who are ranked in the top 10 and do it with some style. Actually beat them by 20 points in the end. That 2022 game is what I'm referencing. So, there's a ton of scheduling and injury adversity that's going against Ole Miss here. Back-to-back SEC, rough games for them. Even though they dominated South Carolina, it wasn't easy for them. It was still just like pulling teeth. They didn't rack up a bunch of points, rack up a bunch of yards. It was very controlled, very just let's get out of here type of a game. Very placeholder type of a game. And Trey Harris, their NCAA leading receiver out of Lafayette, Louisiana, got banged up. And this is something that's serious because I heard a few analysts saying, LSU secondary aren't going to be able to hang with Ole Miss's receivers. LSU secondary can't hang with LSU's receivers. And that might be true. Okay, that might be true still after what I tell you here. But when you look at, Trey Harris, their receiving core at Ole Miss, you see Trey Harris with 885 yards. Okay, that leads the nation. 52 catches as well. 5 touchdowns, right? The next guy on that list is Antwine Wells Jr. He has 371 yards, which I think probably more than any LSU guy, I think. 17 catches, though. 17 catches, 4 touchdowns. 4 touchdowns, caveat there, but 52 catches for Trey Harris. The next guy has only 17 catches. 371 yards from those 17 catches, though. Big play guy and Antwine Wells Jr., but everyone else, it's like, 10 catches, 12 catches, and 1 touchdown, 2 touchdowns at the most. It's basically those guys have 1 or 2, and then this guy, Antwine Wells Jr., has 4 touchdowns, 371 yards, 17 catches, and then above him, Trey Harris, 885, 52 catches. This offense flows so much of what it does through Trey Harris. If he can't go, if he's not in full 100%, which he is nowhere near right now, I can tell you that for a fact, they're going to need some severe help from LSU secondary being terrible. I really feel that. And we're going to get into that later in the show about LSU secondary and why I think that is such a key part to this game. But really, a key to the game that I think is really an undeniable part of this game that no one's talking about is Ole Miss's O-line and the running game that they can generate with Henry Parrish Jr. This is an Ole Miss O-line that, they're 80th in allowing pressures and sacks, and 51 pressures, 7 sacks, 14 quarterback hits. You compare that to LSU's O-line, just 25 pressures. Cut it in half right there. Only 1 sack allowed on Nussmeier and only 7 hits allowed on Nussmeier. We basically cut all of what they did in half. Ole Miss's O-line are very susceptible to the pass rush from LSU, as we talked about last time. And LSU are 4th in the country in pressure generation. Kevin Peoples has earned that check. Bo Davis has earned that check. That defensive line is outplaying what anyone expected. But I want to talk about something different than that because, yes, the pressure is there. The defensive line has been playing up to way past what we expected for them to, for LSU. And this Ole Miss O-line are very susceptible to allowing pressures and sacks, hits, and just general chaos to Jackson Dart. But that's where LSU can hurt them, is in the pass rush that we talked about. But really, Henry Parrish, their running back for Ole Miss, already has 570 yards, 9 rushing touchdowns. Already has 9 rushing touchdowns. He averages 6.3 per carry. Okay, LSU's actually done pretty good in defending the run this season with 117.2 yards allowed per game. A lot better than last year, of course. We were very effective against the run for UCLA, USC, held both of those teams to a combined 10 yards over 6 full quarters against those teams. UCLA had negative 14 yards rushing for most of that game. And USC had like 27 yards going into the fourth until their last drive where they broke a few. And that's the thing. LSU got ran over by South Carolina for 243 and 4 scores. Over 5 yards per carry on every single run, and allowing big runs to Guggenheim, Colin Guggenheim versus Nichols. We've shown poor run fits. It's been terrible. Some of the run coverage for LSU. It's been shocking. As against South Carolina, the big runs by Sellers, the big runs by Guggenheim. Against Nichols, you've seen LSU allow these big busts in the run game. Now, how much of Whit Weeks being in the lineup is gonna fix that? How much is a revitalized and unleashed Greg Penn III going to stop that? How LSU's safeties, especially in this situation, how can LSU's safeties contribute to helping us stop the running game and not be completely caught out, completely screwed at the back? Because here's the thing about LSU against Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. Everyone goes into this thinking, Lane Kiffin, almost like he's an air raid play caller. What people forget is that this guy loves to run the football, and he loves to get creative running the football. And he kills LSU usually running the football. With Quinshon Judkins, they absolutely lacerated us last year. There's been a few games where LSU have allowed over 300, even 400 yards rushing against Ole Miss in the last 5 years. 2019, as you'll remember, was one of those games. Last year, of course, Quinshon Judkins went over for 100 yards on us in 2022 before we had a really good dominant second half showing against them. So LSU have allowed some colossal rushing yards and big rushing plays and rushing dominance to Ole Miss over the last 5 years, especially since Kiffin has come in charge in the last 3 or 4. How can LSU stop Henry Parrish Jr.? That is, to me, a big deal. And yes, we're going to get into the secondary being able to shut down these receivers. But for me, Trey Harris not being in this game, that helps the secondary out a lot. Number one thing this defense must do is stop this run, stuff this running game. And that includes Jackson Dart. That definitely includes Jackson Dart with his scrambling ability. And this is where you want Harold Perkins to be able to spy Jackson Dart on some of these plays, especially 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, where spread them out. If it's not there, Jackson, you see a hole, go for it. LSU could be very susceptible to those type of plays where he keeps drives alive with his legs, Jackson Dart, because there's no safety there to make the hit. The linebackers are all over the place. We have to get to the lineup right. We have to figure out, and I hope LSU has. I've got some information on that, but can I report it? Can I not? We're kind of in that situation. I'm hoping LSU have figured out their safety positions. That's what I'm going to say right now. And I think they have. I think there's 2 guys they're settling on with a third that rotates in. But LSU have to have their safeties right in this game. And it's for me just about the running game as much as it is the passing game over the top. Lane Kiffin's best passing plays, his best passing game is when it is fast over the middle, furious, make you cover every blade of grass type of stuff. Slants, mesh routes, little hitches, the screen game, jet sweeps, tunnel screens, all this stuff is what he loves to do. He's not quite a throw it over the top guy. I think tomorrow you're going to see some shots. He's going to test those safeties. But who's he got to throw to? We'll find out how good LSU secondary really is, because if they can't stop these piecemeal weapons that Ole Miss has left after Trey Harris, then we have a real problem here. And Trey Harris, he's going to still contribute something. He will be out there playing no matter what condition he's in. Mark my words on that. And so we will have to contend with him, but it will be more in a decoy, distraction, take up one of your best cover guys type of situation, which is, I'm hearing JV and Toviano is going to fit into this game plan in a very significant way. I'm hearing that our defensive staff have some clarity as to what they're going to do with Major Burns. And I think a lot of fans are going to be satisfied with what they do with Major Burns. There's a number of people who are in contention for these safety roles, but I'm hearing Jordan Gilbert, Sage Ryan, and Jordan Allen are likely to be the three in that rotation, with Deshaun Spears also getting some limited reps. What this tells me, LSU are just trying to mix and match and minimize big plays any way they can. Okay, this guy can cover, but he can't, do this or that. This guy can tackle really well, but he can't cover. And they're just trying to figure it out play to play to play, and they're rotating guys. And we're in a bad position at that safety spot. We need two guys to step up. And I'm hearing Jordan Gilbert is being that dog this week in practice and is really stepping up to the plate. Let's see if he can do it in a game, during a game. Hopefully he can. Sage Ryan, he's made some plays this year. People exaggerate the mistakes of Sage Ryan all the time. It's kind of ridiculous. Yes, he had a big whiff on that South Carolina run. Yes, he hasn't, looked his best at times. But the guy hasn't allowed, half as many, blown tackles or blown coverages as people claim. But I want to see plays out of him. I want to see him making plays. I want to see this kid deliver on that 5-star potential fully in such a big game like this. He's done it before. Remember the punch out, the strip that he almost had against Alabama? That really played a big part in that game as far as just psychologically screwing with Alabama's head in that game. And it's I want to see this kid making more plays just like he did against South Carolina. That strip sack that Sage Ryan had on that pressure was such a big play in that game. And I do think he is your best shot at safety alongside Jordan Allen, Jordan Gilbert at his best, to really do something here. You've seen Deshaun Spears a lot, and I understand, young guy, you want to get him as much reps as possible and get him blooded into being a Tiger. But man, he's allowed some big plays. Man, he's missed some tackles. Man, he's allowed some stuff over the top. And I think LSU has a winnable game here that they shouldn't just throw this away in the name of playing all freshmen. Play your best players at every position, no matter how old they are, and win this game. It is winnable this year. The national championship is open right now. It is open season on the national title. I don't care what anyone says. LSU has a damn good chance to get in the college football playoff if they even just play up to their optimum and stop shooting themselves in the foot defensively, stop killing themselves with penalties. These types of things, you've actually seen LSU clean up. You've seen LSU clean up the penalties game by game by game. We're not seeing it as much, the laundry as much. There's still some stupid flags that we haven't seen. Will Campbell has 5 flags this year. It's crazy. But they're not flags that were killing us like early in the season. Against USC, against South Carolina, it was just insane. It's you've also seen this defense improve in every category. Fourth in pass rush generation, in sacks generation, like in pressure generation. That's incredible after what we saw last year, and even frankly the last 2 years, where there was just no pass rush to speak of. Terrible front from LSU the last few years, even with a ton of big names too. And so there's a chance for not only LSU to cause imminent chaos in that backfield for Ole Miss and to blow up plays like we have against Jackson Dart once again, but you absolutely have to stay home in this running game. I expect Kiffin to call plays that get the pass rush to kind of bite on the apple. Everyone's flying in at Jackson Dart, and then he delays that handoff, and there's all these holes right through the gut. Everybody's flying around the edges, coming right for Jackson Dart, and then right up the gut. We cannot let that type of stuff happen. We cannot let these delayed handoffs, these draw plays, these RPO draws just crucify us, where, Jackson Dart fakes the handoff, he keeps it, everyone bites, and he goes. The eye candy that everyone talks about, the defense got to, not get caught in the eye candy and follow the ball. It is a difficult thing to do, way more than it is to say, but that is simply what our defense must do. And our defense is going to make mistakes tomorrow. On Saturday. Our defense will make mistakes tomorrow on Saturday. LSU's defense will have some blown coverages, some messed up plays, some miscommunications. However, there's one player in this team, on this defense especially, that I think if he is able to play in this game, which we might be able to find out that news right now live on the show, if he's able to play in this game, I absolutely think LSU's defense could go from like 0 to 75, like boom, 0 mile an hour to 75 miles an hour. West Weeks. If West Weeks can play at linebacker, our ability to stop the run just innumerably explodes. Like, you're so much better at stopping the run with Whit Weeks, Greg Penn III, West Weeks, all in a lineup together. Or to mix and match, however you want to use them. West Weeks is so good against the run. And now we hear that he is doubtful once again, cannot get back from this injury. There's people even speculating, he should take a medical red shirt. And it's like, that might actually be a smart thing for him to do. But knowing him, he's not going to want to give up on this season. He's not going to want to give up on it right in this second. 1 second, let me actually ask a source about West. 1 second. Just a quick text to a source there, and we'll see what we get back. Because West, he was supposed to be back for UCLA. He was supposed to be back for South Alabama. It's just, and he's had a bye week now. And so, is this a worse injury than we were told? Is this a worse injury than people know about? How bad is the injury to West Weeks? Well, we hope we can get him back for this game. It looks doubtful, though, but we'll get an answer for you on that. And as you know, with our coverage on some of this stuff, we're getting some pretty damn good info. Kyle Parker is out for this game, as we reported 5 days ago. There's a lot of evidence that he is out for the season. That's what we were told, and we were really iffy on the whole thing. Just kept trying to get as many sources to back things up as possible. And lo and behold, our source correct once again. He's out for sure this game, but you see the way that he's been positioned in the out, just out. You know something serious has happened because he'd be put as doubtful or something to kind of make them think a bit. But they're just like out. There's no way he's going to be playing. That says a lot to me about Kyle Parker and where he's at right now. And it just backs up our reporting from 5 days ago, saying that Kyle Parker would miss this game. CJ Daniels, though, crazy with the meniscus. He's questionable. He's been practicing. I think that's a risk. You do not want to risk this young man getting re-injured. As we went into a rant about this on the last show. If you want to hear that, the preview part 1. I just feel CJ Daniels is going to be such a weapon for you as this season continues. You do not want to waste him. I understand this game is a win or go home type of situation. You know, this is basically a playoff game. But man, rolling the dice with him, a little rough. I'm really a little leery about doing that. 1 second, everybody. So, you know, I just LSU are really struggling at receiver right now. We've got one single 100-yard receiver this season. One single 100-yard receiver. Kyron Lacey against South Alabama, which would you expect him to get 100 yards against South Alabama? Yeah, we did have Aaron Anderson go for like 97 or something, so close. But now you got Kyle Parker out, maybe even possibly the season. You got CJ Daniels, who could be risking in this game. He might be fine to go, but with this meniscus issue, it's torn ACL in his past. It's kind of kind of worrisome. And then Chris Hilton Jr., who Brian Kelly talked about the bone bruise and how it's just been slow to heal, and how Chris has done everything possible to be out there. And Chris, he really wanted to protect Chris and how he presented that information, and saying that it's just slow healing. And I'm puzzled by this whole Chris Hilton situation. I really am. I'm not saying, I know how bad his injury is. He should totally go. Even if I knew literal medical information, this is exactly what blah blah blah, everything his doctor has access to, you still wouldn't know how he's actually feeling and actually dealing with that injury, would you? You wouldn't. You're not in his body. You don't know the pain he's feeling. You don't know the tolerance level he's got. You don't know what happens when he cuts on that foot. You don't know what happens when he makes a move on that foot, when he releases on that foot. It might be a really serious issue that LSU maybe should have not undersold. Maybe LSU should have been a little more, hey, he might be out for a while here. But, that's what makes the situation so puzzling, is because it was almost a week-to-week thing, and it's going to continue to be a week-to-week thing until he plays. And even after he plays, let's be honest, it's still going to be a week-to-week thing, because Mike Scarborough asked Brian Kelly a question about this, where he's like, Chris has had so many injuries and he just can't seem to get a straight season through injury-free. And Kelly was quick to correct him and was like, last year he played injury-free. and he was stuck in the rotation behind, two first-round picks and our number one receiver this year. So, he had that injury-free season last year, and I thought that would build him up to this. And he looks robust physically. He looked fantastic throughout fall camp. He was beating everybody on these long bomb routes over the middle, making these skyscraping catches. I mean, Chris Hilton looked amazing in fall camp. No one can deny that. There was so much buzz about this kid because the proof was there. And then he gets hurt, literally last few days of camp. And you just knew when he got hurt, man, are we going to deal with this all season? I didn't think that. I thought he'd be back for, USC, and if not USC, the next game. But man, it's turned into a saga. And I don't blame Chris for this. I don't have information to blame Chris for this. He's not wanting to play. I just couldn't see that happening. We've seen stuff like that all the time in college football now, but I can't see that kid knowing what he's potentially going to ascend to this season. His aim to be a first-round receiver, continue that wide receiver U legacy that LSU has so abundantly. And I can't see Chris wanting to. I'm going to tap out of that. I understand he might be hurt and in a lot of pain and he can't move quite well. I think, would be out there if he could. I'm still stunned that 6 games in and a bye week as well, this is still going on. And questionable to me. This season, he might as well just be listed as doubtful because we've seen questionable equal, out throughout this whole season. And don't be surprised if CJ Daniels does not play in this game either, because I have told you the young man underwent a operation on that knee after the last game. Okay? So if he underwent an operation, how is he able to practice and be back for this game unless they're willing to risk it? I'm not sure if Kelly's willing to risk it like this. And I think maybe CJ Daniels out there for a few plays, contributes a bit. I would be stunned if he's out there the whole game. And I wouldn't be stunned if he was on the bench in street clothes. LSU have to generate something in the passing game, and that's got to be through Mason Taylor. That's got to be through the running backs. LSU have to get creative and just feed Mason Taylor, feed Aaron Anderson. Get these guys the football. Your 2 most dynamic receivers this season. They have been otherworldly. Aaron Anderson has been a freak. He has been a special specimen that has been otherworldly. And I don't know what his ultimate ceiling is. Thank you, bro. I don't know what his ultimate ceiling is, Aaron Anderson, but he's an absolute freak. And he's been special this season. And he's delivered for LSU when they have needed it most. Because, let's be honest, maybe the feeding so many mouths thing has made the passing game kind of piss poor. Not really in a rhythm. It's basically Nuss putting up a ton of numbers, distributing the football left, right, and center, clocking up the yards, all that. Is that smoke? I don't know what that is. CBD says shoulder with Parker, shoulder, arm, something like that. But yeah, he had a UCL injury earlier, so something like that for sure. And finally, the last thing I want to get into, LSU secondary could lose us this game. Straight up. LSU secondary could lose us this game. Could you fathom that? Nussmeier throws for 500 yards and we still lose? Puts up another heroic performance like Jaden Daniels did, and we still lose this game? That can't happen. That can't be possible. There's no way. That's just absolute Dr. Seuss bullshit you're talking about. Come on. There's no way that's going to happen. No way. No way. No way. It could, because here's the thing. LSU haven't figured out the best chemistry back there yet. We're still mixing guys in, matching Javian Toviano now being brought into the proceedings after 5 games in the wilderness, like, and rightfully so. I get why he was, but like, hey, you unsuspended him, you brought him back into the fold, so why not play the kid? He's incredible. LSU has just been in a spot here at the secondary spots, and this is going to be the game that tests them the most. Really, Trey Harris or not, are they up to the task? Zay Alexander looks like he will be fit and firing, ready for this game. I'd be shocked if he wasn't. It was a concussion. It was 3 weeks ago. 4 weeks ago, even, however long. It was a long time ago now at this point. That's the thing. LSU have not traveled in how many weeks? Like, we had 3 games in 13 days to start the season. It was crazy. It was exhausting for the team. Guys were sick. Coaching staff was sick. They were just run into the ground. And now you have had literally, 4 weeks of not traveling anywhere? It's been very relaxing for LSU going into this game. LSU have no excuses. I understand that Harold Perkins is out for the season. John Army Jr. is out for the season. Jacobian Guillory is out for the season. Prince Malbrew is out for the season. You've got these guys who are hurt. Done. Kyle Parker most likely is out for the season too. You've got these injuries. You've got Caden Durham with the dislocated toes, CJ Daniels with the meniscus, Chris Hilton Jr. with the bone bruise. It doesn't matter. Guys must step up. Guys must win this game, because here's the thing. LSU has 0 excuses to lose this game. 0 excuses. In fact, I would be stunned to my core. I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing right now. LSU are in a situation, in a spot where the pressure isn't on them. They're not favored to win this game. But if you look at all the parameters and the external factors here, LSU should win this game. And they should maybe win this outright, not by a field goal, not by a couple points here and there, or a referee decision. LSU should probably step that foot on the neck in a significant fashion. The defense, if LSU starts out this game with getting a takeaway or even just a 3-and-out, and we score on at least 2 back-to-back possessions, whether that's 10-0, 14-0, if LSU can start out with that type of coming out of the gate ignition, put Lane Kiffin back in the kitchen, then that's going to be crazy. And I don't see Ole Miss being able to come back into that. If LSU go go out of the gates here and start this thing with a big lead and some ass kicking from the front, there is no limits to how LSU can control this game. They can take it any direction they want to go. And that's why it is so important to start this game quickly. Look at what we did with Caden Durham. I know it was South Alabama. South Alabama were coming in that game with a lot of hype, and there was a lot of upset fever going into that game. And LSU just took the game away in seconds. Is that possible against Ole Miss? It can be. And you know what? You've seen LSU under Brian Kelly have to have a lot of comebacks to win games, right? Have to survive double-digit deficits a number of times. And they're good at the comeback. But one thing I've never seen at LSU with Brian Kelly is them giving up a lead and losing a game after giving up a lead. Can you think of a game that LSU lost under Brian Kelly where they gave up a lead? Texas A&M 2022, maybe? Up like 10-13 or something? Like, I can't see LSU under Brian Kelly. I'm trying to find it. I looked for it before we did the show. I couldn't find it. A game where LSU lost a lead under Brian Kelly, especially a double-digit lead. I'm not talking you were up 7-0, 3-0 in the first quarter. I'm talking about a significant third, fourth quarter lead. And you choked. I haven't seen that under Brian Kelly. That makes me feel like if LSU go out to a fast start here, Garrett Nussmeier's in a rhythm, and then instead of getting field goals, we actually punch it in with 7 points in the red zone, which is another so key factor in this game. You must score in the red zone, not just field goals, or you will lose this game as well. You'll let them back in it with just kicking field goals. That's a victory for them. You have Garrett Nussmeier as your quarterback. You should be scoring a touchdown every single drive. So here's the thing. Finish in the red zone. If you finish in the red zone, if you get 7 instead of 3, you will suffocate Ole Miss over 4 quarters. I think this defense is more focused over the middle, at least in that front with Whit Weeks, Greg Penn III, fully unleashed. I think you're going to see maybe some freshman linebackers like Xavier Atkins come off the bench for some snaps here and there. I'm looking for a big game from Ahmad Bro up the middle at DT. This is going to be the biggest game he's had in his career. This is a big game. I think you're looking for some greatness here from LSU. This is a moment for a statement. This is a moment for some violence. This is a moment for some intensity against Ole Miss. This is a moment to absolutely remind Ole Miss, you are what you are. And that will never change. No matter how many preseason poll appearances you make or how many, preseason love you get or, all the hype train. No matter how many times Lane Kiffin disrespects or goes after Paul Feinbaum or does TikToks with his daughter, like, it will never wash away the fact that you are at Ole Miss, and this is what Ole Miss does in the SEC in big games. They shit the bed. Or should I say they all piss the bed. I'm excited for this game. And I am so excited for this game that we are doing a crazy marathon live show tomorrow on Friday. Okay. Beginning at 5 p.m. Central. 5 p.m. Central. Okay. LSUODYSSEY.com is going to do a crazy live show. Crazy live show. 5 p.m. Central. A marathon live show about this game with our prediction at the very end. Predicting the game, and you will not want to miss that prediction. It is going to be wild. There's a few key details, a few big pieces of news we're going to be revealing on that show. Maybe a plan or two that LSUODYSSEY.com has had in the making for a while. There's a lot to unload, but yeah. Hopefully we see you there on the show. 5 p.m. Central tomorrow. Any of you who want to be on the show, who would want to have your face next to mine talking LSU football, post a comment, send me a DM during the show tomorrow. Say, hey, I want to be on. I'll send you an invite link to come on here on StreamYard. Everybody, I love talking LSU. I'm so excited for this game. I cannot wait to kick some Ole Miss ass. I have a good feeling about this game. I don't know what it's about. I don't know why. I can think of a few things why, but I have a very good feeling about this game. But that said, I think you guys will be stunned by our predictions tomorrow. And I think you'll be intrigued and hopefully titillated by some of the information and the news that we're going to be breaking tomorrow ahead of this big time game. Everybody, have a good rest of your Thursday. God bless Florida. Thank God that Milton was weaker than a Rush Limbaugh erection, and it was just Category 3. Thank God. Even Lieutenant Dan made it. Everybody, thank you so much. And I wanted to give a shout out to Chris Melder and Chris Haar. Chris the Chef Haar and Chris Melder, my guy, White Trash Tiger. Two really good, standout, badass people who I just think deserve that love. Also, Marks Gibson, what a dude. And I'm just excited. I'm just blown away. I just feel so blessed to be able to cover LSU. I feel so blessed. I feel blessed to have a platform. I feel grateful for you guys to watch this. I'm just a barrel of laughs and a barrel of fun right now. I just can this mood, put it in a can, and open it every day. Like this feels good when things are heading in the right direction and you feel like possibilities are endless, really. And you look at this LSU team and you know that they're in the same spot. As long as we can go win, keep ourselves alive in this thing, this could be a crazy season unlike any that we expected. And we're basically almost halfway through the season. A few more games and we're halfway there. So everybody, thank you so much for checking out the show and for always supporting us. And hopefully you go to the site and check out the site. We got a ton of great stuff there. In fact, right now there is some secret breaking news that has been posted as like an Easter egg, and I'm wondering if any of you guys can actually track that down. I don't think anybody has yet, but we're starting to do some interactive elements on the site that we're figuring our way through it. It's not going to be perfect at first, but it's at least something funny and intriguing and kind of weird for you guys to do stuff with. But also, we are going to be launching LSU Odyssey merchandise in time for Christmas. We've had so many requests over the years for LSU merch. I've literally been like, that's stupid. I'm not doing LSU Odyssey merch. That's stupid. I have so many good ideas. And when I've seen these ideas put to fruition, put on shirts, and I actually see what can be done nowadays with some of these ideas, I'm blown away. And so I want to share these with you guys, and I hope you guys support it. Peace.